Sineva is an engineer class that's focused around the use of a giant riot shield. Their ultimate ability means they can equip this riot shield, and that's going to block most damage from the front. It has a 60-second cooldown, and when this is equipped, you can't use a gun, you can only shield bash enemies and use your grapple gun, which we'll come to in a minute, but you can't pull out a gun and fire it whilst you're using the riot shield. What it will do is block any damage done to the shield, but it does have a small glass pane in front of your face, and that can be broken, and then you can take damage. It doesn't take a ton of shots to break it, but it can be quite tricky for players to actually target shots effectively onto that glass pane, and they might not want to waste loads of bullets because they're going to cost them a lot of money if they're running purple or gold ammo. If you do manage to connect shots to the glass, you can take it out normally with 8 to 12 bullets, but like I said, it can be hard to hit. Once you finish using the shield because you want to be able to get a gun out or move more quickly, or if the glass pane has been broken so you want to refresh it, you want to unequip the shield, and then you're going to have to wait another 60 seconds for that cooldown to reset. The shield also reduces damage taken from explosive damage, and you can also knock explosives back towards players if you time it correctly. If they throw a C4 at you, you can sometimes manage to bash it back with your shield bash. Using those shield bashes and the sprint shield bashes will use up a lot of stamina. That can be a disadvantage for Sineva when you're running around with the shield and you're trying to hit people. You will lose stamina very quickly, and after a while you won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to shield bash because you won't have enough stamina. Whilst you're moving around with the shield, your feet do get exposed, so you can be vulnerable there, and also you're very vulnerable from the sides and the back. If you sprint while having the shield out, you'll pretty much move it out of the way completely. So as for how to best counter Sineva, there's a load of different ways you can try and do it. I actually went through and tested tons of different operator gadgets and abilities to see what effects they had on Sineva when holding the shield. I put that in a short recently on YouTube, but I wanted to go into it in a bit more detail here. Many explosives aren't very effective against it. The ones I tested that weren't really much use were the Viron Bomb, Nox's Disc, Shepard's Traps, Shepard's Ult as well, and Shep and Luna's Frags. None of those really do very much damage at all. In fact, Shepard's Traps do 0 damage when thrown directly on the shield. They stick to it, but they won't do any damage. The shield will block all of the damage from Shep's Traps if they're at the front. For Viron's Bomb, Nox's Disc, and the Frags, they will do a little bit of damage, but not a lot. And you can even tank 2 Viron Bombs stuck directly to the shield without dying or it even breaking the glass. On top of that, Sineva can do his shield bash and actually knock some of these things back at you if they time it right, so they can send the explosives flying back to you. Or if you've thrown a sticky bomb onto the shield, he can just walk up to you and it'll explode in your face and actually probably end up killing you. None of those mentioned abilities there also make Sineva move his shield to the side. He just keeps it up in the normal place for the whole time, even with Shepard's ult. But there are a load of operator gadgets that do have an effect. First up, Tempest's drill charge. When you throw the drill charge either directly into the shield or just nearby to Sineva, so they're affected by it, then Sineva will move his shield slightly to the side while they're affected by this for a second or two, and that gives you a good opportunity to shoot him. Keep in mind, a good Sineva player could just turn slightly and then rotate their shield back towards you, but it is a brief moment of opportunity and distraction. And this shield movement is quite a common effect from quite a lot of abilities. Claw's flash drone also does the same thing. That'll make Sineva move his shield briefly to the side. Make sure you don't aim the drone up too high because it can just go flying over their head. Might be best to aim it down to make sure it connects with Sineva when using it. Luna's Volt Arrow has a similar effect, whether fired directly into the shield or just on the floor in front. It will do a little bit of damage and also make him move the shield to the side. It might be best firing it in the floor rather than into the shield, because if you put it in the shield and then Sineva walks at you, then you're going to take damage from your own arrow as they bring that towards you. Nox's Flashbang also has the same effect, but it can be quite tricky not to flash yourself. Unless you're throwing around a corner, you have to quickly turn the other way and turn back, and you get a very limited amount of time in order to take your shot against the shield move to the side. Toxic's ult, the Swarm Attack, also has this effect. It won't actually attach drones to Sineva. He's immune to being affected by the swarm in that way, but it will make him move the shield briefly to the side. Viron's knockdown ability can be effective against Sineva, but it can also have quite mixed results. If the knockdown projectile lands in front of Sineva and explodes in front of the shield, then it'll just make them move the shield to the side and do that animation like you see with the flashbangs and that kind of thing. But if you do manage to fire the projectile behind Sineva or underneath, then they will suffer from the full knockdown like any other players, and you'll get a much better chance to shoot them. This of course applies to anything other explosives, frags and stuff. If you get them behind Sineva, then they're going to do normal damage from behind. It's just if they're blocking it with the shield that it will stop them having the normal impact it would on another player. Ularu's fire can be effective for slowing them down. If Sineva is in the fire, then they'll take large damage, but they won't be caught on fire and it won't affect them once they've backed out of it, but it can block them off and slow them down and do a pretty decent chunk of damage if they get trapped in it for a few seconds. Ularu's rocket also does pretty significant damage compared to the other explosives because it's essentially 4 explosions. If you do manage to hit your rocket and the 3 follow-up loitering munitions as well, that will leave them on about 30 HP if you hit all 4 of those if they're wearing purple armor. Hatclaw's knife doesn't really do anything special, but if you do actually throw it and hit the glass, it will deal a lot of damage and it can break the glass pane in 2 hits. Speaking of the glass pane, you can shoot this and break it. It's got 200 HP on PC. I think it's 100 on mobile. That's going to be about 7 or 8 shots from an AR on PC to break that, but it's easier said than done when you're doing it on a stationary Sineva for testing. Seems very easy. When they're wiggling all over the place, you end up dumping a whole 30 mag of gold rounds and you don't hit enough to actually break the glass, which can be pretty expensive and annoying. Knife attacking the shield doesn't do anything, but you can actually jump up and then knife down over the top of it, which could sometimes be effective if you're being bashed in the face by Sineva and you've got a brief moment where they've run out of stamina. Rather than trying to desperately fire your gun into the shield, you might actually be better off jumping up and stabbing down into the head, and you might be able to kill them in a couple of shots doing that. And of course, lastly, the easiest way is normally flanking them if you've got the numbers. One-on-one, it's going to be pretty tricky to do, but whenever an enemy team has Sineva, that means they have one less gun in the fight. Sineva can't use their gun whilst they have the shield out, so trying to outposition, outmaneuver, and get a flank on is usually your best bet. Sineva's first gadget is the Grapple Gun. You can use this whilst you have your shield equipped, and this will be able to grab enemies and pull them towards you, and then you can start bashing them with your shield, or a teammate can shoot them with a gun. Not only can it grab enemy players when you're attacking them, but it also can grab downed enemies and pull them towards you, making it harder for them to get revived by their teammates. You can grab crates and pull them towards you, so even bot crates or enemy crates that you might want to pull into a safer position so you're able to loot it outside of the line of fire. And you can also pull friendly people towards you. So if one of your teammates gets knocked, you might be able to grapple them, pull them back towards you, and bring them into a position where you can revive them. You just have one grapple gun available at a time, and that has a 25-second cooldown. Sineva's second gadget is the razor wire. This is a thrown pile of razor wire, and when you put this down, it will create noise when people move through it, and it also inflicts damage on players as well. You have 2 of these available at a time, and they have a 55-second cooldown. These will be automatically destroyed when you move about 150 meters or more away, and they'll deal occasional hits of 8 hit points as you move through it, ignoring armor depending on how fast you're moving through. They can be destroyed with several melee attacks or explosives, or you can actually shoot the base in the middle, but it takes a few shots to do so. Sineva's passive ability is Rear Guard, and this is basically just when you don't have your shield in front of you, you have it on your back, and if people hit it when it's on your back, it won't do you any damage. It's not as big when it's on your back as when it's on your front. When you actually deploy it at the front, it's a kind of pop-out thing that becomes this enormous shield. When it's on your back, it's a much smaller thing, but it does give you a big chunk on your back that is basically invulnerable to damage from behind, but only when you don't have the shield out in front of you.